Yes? Are we live? Cool. What am I talking about? Single parenting. Okay. Yeah, we can talk about single parenting because that's another thing that'll get you drowned in the desert. I've never been a single parent before, so I won't be able to speak from life experience, but I'm sure the Holy Spirit will help me out. It's like, no. Okay, so you say we're live? Okay. Well, welcome to everybody around the world who are watching us. Thank you for hanging out with us. So we're talking about how to break generational curses and how to get into the promised land. And no matter what hole you're in, there's a way out and there's a way up. And today the request is that I chat about single parenting. I'm letting the Holy Spirit do all the heavy lifting in this conversation today, because I've never been a single parent before, and I hope I never become one, because I think it must be very hard. I mean, it's challenging to be a double parent, or a married parent, or a dual parent. But let's talk about the power of community then today, because when it comes to single parenting, we help a lot of single parents. We help a lot of people who are single parents. Sashi, really? So let's just start off with the importance of when you're in the desert, when you're being attacked by all the tights and the heights and the flights and the kites, the Hittites and the Steins and the Philistines and all sorts of things. Gasela. There we go. Thanks, Jaco. First off, you got to refuse to position yourself as a victim. No matter what position we are in, the wrong position to take is victim. We cannot be a victim. Let me just switch off this fan quick. So whether you're a single parent or you're in a marriage or a relationship where you have to do all the heavy carrying, where you've got to do all the hard work. Remember, when we blame, we lose the game. So we've got to look at what we're going through and then position ourselves in such a way that we say, okay, I've got to solve this problem. By solving the problem, I'm not going to blame. We're consistently going through hardships and tough battles and all that kind of thing. So even when there's resources and manpower to overcome us, there's still so many things to deal with. Interpersonal relationships, personality clashes. There's 10 million things that you've got to deal with, and you can never put yourself in a position where you say, I can't handle this. You have to say, I must handle this. And everybody, let's say that together. Say, I must handle this. And I must handle it in a godly way. You know, we're a Christian organization, and I see when the pressure is on, people become very unchristian. They say unchristian things and they do unchristian things. And then every now and then I'm surprised by the wonderful character of people. And then I see how people who position themselves as a victim will find targets and they'll attack people and they'll say, what about them? And what about those? And when you're a single parent, you tend to do the same thing. You tend to say, I'm in this position because of that man or that woman, or, I'm in this position because of it. And what happens when you blame is you give away your power. You lose your power. And then you end up raising crazy kids. So when you're in the desert, you need friends. Whether a lot of families have got a mom and a dad, but they still suck at raising those kids because they've given away their power. They're still blaming. They're still taking everything personally from a toddler. I mean, that's okay. Let her just whatever. Sashi, you must lie down, man. How did you even get out? Anyway, I've seen how grown-ups get into like a grown-up argument with a toddler. Who's seen that before? It's like the toddler, like the grown-up is, give me a hug. No, I can't believe that child won't give me a hug. Doesn't even say hello. And then they're upset, generally, like at a blooming 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, 5-year-old. Like the thing doesn't even have a proper brain yet. It's still growing. It's hardly self-aware. You know what I mean? and then they get upset because they're so used to positioning themselves as the victim. I am where I am, and the only way for me to change where I am is to produce what I want. And if you want to produce that in the child, you got to say, okay, what's the best way to raise a child? And the answer is in a community. The best way to do it. So Ahava has got many moms, lots and lots of moms. She's only allowed to call one of them mom, but she's got many, so that she's got the security of knowing she belongs. Especially foster kids need to know that's my mommy, So for her to be whole and for her emotional intelligence to develop and for her spirit to develop, she has to be exposed to a community of many women, many grannies and many moms and many spiritual parents and mentors and lots of them. So when you raise your child, a single parent, what you want to do is not isolate. You don't want to end up alone raising this kid. You've got to try and figure out, how do I get into a community where there's many moms and where there can be male influence, whether it's a little girl or a little boy, there can be male influence, but always under strict supervision. You don't let a child out of your sight unless you have verified and confirmed that the people that they're with are safe. Not just sexually, but also, like one day Ahava came home and then it took us 2 weeks to get her to stop saying the F word because she doesn't hear it in our house. So I was trying to figure out, where did she hear that word, And then I kind of zoned in on it, and then I went to the Lord and I said, Lord, please remove that person from our ministry. Because, I can't help you. If you swear in front of toddlers, I really can't help you. There's a part of your spirit that is just short-circuiting. Understand? I can't. If you cannot consider a child as a precious entity, you seriously need help. And a lot of people are like that now. And whether you're single parent or dual parent, you're working to find a great community strategy, and you've got to be very strict in saying, okay, in this community, who has influence over my child? So don't just let any dude look after, especially a little girl. South Africa is the most unsafe place in the world to be a little girl. So there is a spirit of molestation in this nation. So you definitely don't want, our men, there's problems with our men. So it doesn't matter who the man is, if he's black or white or green or pink, it doesn't matter his color, it doesn't matter if he's a pastor, especially if he's a youth pastor. Massive incidences of rape and date rape by youth pastors, youth ministers. We've got a rule at our ministry, which I get very angry at if people violate it. I don't like it when men and women are together alone. Unless they're married or brother and sister, or I don't dig it, because we've got to protect them from adultery and things like that. Our nation has got a serious problem with fathers being present, because there's so many incidences of dads cheating on their moms and then abandoning that child. So many incidences of men having inappropriate interaction with little children. So as a single parent, or even if you're two parents, if your hubby's away a lot or whatever, you have to be so strict. You have to be super duper strict, and you've got to get community involved. But it all starts off with you saying, I'm nobody's victim. I'm going to guide this child. I'm going to step in. And if there isn't a father figure, then you've got to bring it into a community. That baby's got to come into a community where there's a lot of father figures. But then you navigate the danger of, that's one of the challenges, is you don't let your child alone. Like we've got teenagers here in our ministry, and there's one or two of them like to hug the kids, and they're very good with the kids. And then I'm like, that's fine, but watch them. Because affection can turn to other things very quickly. Trust, but verify. So as a single parent, you have to be quite a watchdog, or you've got to get your sisters and brothers and mom and dad, everybody to help watch and verify. One of the healthy things, if the family allows it, is if you've got a brother that you trust, and that brother is someone who has got good values, then you let them help you raise that one, raise the little ones. So like, let's say you've got Tino for a brother. That's an excellent role model because he's a peacemaker. And then you let him do the disciplining. You see, so if you like, let me try and think of an example, because I'm not a single parent. But I've seen, I watched a lady, her husband passed away. She was, I don't know what she does now. This was 20 years ago, but her husband passed away, and she was a single mom with 5 kids. And then her husband was a pastor, he was a missionary. And then what she did was, she found every single church program she could possibly find and made it compulsory for her kids to go to all of them. And then the one church didn't have enough programs, so she found another church. And then those kids grew up going to like every church program you can possibly imagine. And all of those kids are solid, stable, married, successful. They're all rock solid because they found their identity in community. You see? So when you're a single parent, the worst possible thing you can do is isolate. What we tend to do is, it's hard work raising kids, and I can imagine if someone's a single parent, you got to clean and you got to cook and you got to work, and now you got this little toddler running around or this little child running around. So what's the easiest thing we do? It's like I'm very tempted just to hand Ahava an iPad, or a phone or whatever. Just get it out of your hair. And that's fine as long as you make sure that there's at least 1 hour of go for a walk time. Bicycle time or walk time or whatever it is. Your kid needs an interaction with you, and then lots of other activities during the day with their friends or whatever. When I grew up, the world was different. We got chased out of the house. You come home from school, just get out of the house. You can only come back when it's bath time. Have your sandwich, go and keep yourself busy. You must be outside. That's why we got a little creche here, and then I always make sure, are they playing in the park? Are they doing this? If they sit all day in that creche, I get very upset. And you can ask Mandy, Madalisha, and Eliska how I freak out. I don't want my child sitting in a blimming windy house. I want them playing. I'm so bad at shouting, I just hurt my throat. I want them playing. You want your kid playing as much as possible. Children who come from single homes, much higher possibilities, especially young men, of ending up in prison. It's very high rate of young men in prison if they come home from single homes. So you have to realize, okay, I need to be a little overboard on my moral guidance. I have to make sure. Moral guidance is 2 factors. Number 1, you teach them how to act. That's number 1. But number 2, you're very strict about which friends they have. So I'll gossip about young Sherry, because she's not here. She's a teenager, and Sherry's grounded. Now why? Because until I'm happy that she's got a good friendship circle. They can come here and I'm going to eyeball them and watch them. Because I know that if I can cement her friendships, I can cement her future. Our oldest, Michelle, I was very strict about her friendships. Very, 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 very. And the little while that we had her, when she went into the world, I knew that even though she'd go on adventures, that little bit that we had her in that informative time, we were able to just put an excellent moral compass inside of her. She didn't have that before she came. She had a really tough life. And then your goal is to say, okay, the friends that I want my child to have. So this is very important, even if you've got a whole family. But you have to be a little bit of on overdrive. If you're a single parent, you've got to say, okay, as that child grows up, I choose the friends. You don't allow, it's a good rule. It's like so. Anyway, but they had this parenting seminar, and I was asking a lot of questions, and because I was really impressed. This one couple, I think they 3 or 4 kids.